let me go here. And I'm really happy when you send me that email with all those, PDFs. I'm like, here we go. I think I'm the right person now.
Yeah, yeah. I think you stumbled upon the right person. So let's see.
I
We
hope.
have yeah, we got Erica that just tuned in also. Erica,
Hi, hello.
hello. I was waiting on, so we got about seven more people to come in. But I'm on. We're recording because 6 o'clock I start. So,
No
uh,
problem.
but that's fine. We're on recording. So I just shared my screen, and can you guys see the screen?
Yes.
Okay. Uh, I forgot your name, sir. Just Jasufi, Lasufi.
Yeah, it's. Can you hear me now? Because
Yeah, I
I'm
can.
new on the Zoom here. My
Yeah,
first name is like Laysan. Last
Laysan.
name is Jusufi. Yeah, Jusufi.
Okay. Let me
Laysan.
Laysan. Okay, Laysan.
Hmm.
Okay, so I'll just say Laysan. Laysan.
Yeah, yeah. It's European name. I was born down there.
Where in Europe were you born?
Albania.
Albania. Okay. All right.
Hmm.
Okay, so welcome, guys. I got three of you coming in. People are coming in a little bit late, but that's fine. I started 6, so I got Stephanie, Erica, and Laysan.
Yes,
Laysan.
that's
So,
right.
um, welcome.
Hello, everyone.
Hello, Stephanie and Erica. So, first question, because I like to have and this is just a dispatcher one-on-one training for beginners seminar. So what this does is it gives you, and let me know if you guys did not receive your training materials attached in the email, all those PDFs, documents and stuff. For a very cheap price, I'm giving you a lot of content and I'm exposing you to what my regular ongoing students see and train with. So I'm going to show you load boards. I'm going to show you things like that, strategies and stuff like that. So once you do finally start your dispatching company, because I'm not sure if how many of you have already like gotten your LLC and your business license, business name, articles of corporation, or started the business yet. And then after that stage, like Ledsani was saying that he just got his business, his LLC through LegalZoom. So he's fresh in. So the next phase in the process, in the evolution of being an independent dispatcher is, in my estimation, would now start to be getting your home office set up. What's your hardware equipment stuff? What's your software? What are you going to be using? Things like that. So even before you start out to go after your first carrier to get under a dispatcher agreement and start to find loads for, you want to get your back office and everything set up. So, but let's say, for the sake of argument, that that's already in place for you guys. Let's say everybody has their back office set up, everyone has a business license, and everything's set up. So now, what do you do, right? So what we teach in the Dispatcher 101 training for beginners, our goal is to pretty much hold your hand in the process. Let's see, someone's trying to get in. I think that's another person here. Cooper, Sean Cooper, Sean. All right. So I'm checking you guys off as you come in. So 1, 2, 3, 4 is in right now. I'm expecting 5 more. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more I'm expecting. So everyone's coming in. So that's good. Okay, so Donna Moore, there she is. All right, people are coming in now. Good, great, great. Let me check everybody off. So, all right. Whoa, Kimber. Okay, people are coming in now. All right, it must have been the traffic out here. All right, welcome everybody. So I am, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. So the only people I'm missing now, I'm missing 3 more people: Tanika, Nicole, and Theory. So, but hopefully they'll be tuning in as well. But I got 7 people in here. So So welcome Donna, welcome Kimberly, Erica. I'm gonna mute you guys, and if you want to say something, just unmute yourselves. Hey, who's the little one, Donna? That's your little one? The little dispatcher in the making. All right, so Donna, Erica, Kimberly. Is that pronounced Sean or Sean? Sean Cooper, and then, of course, let me get his name correct because I'll mess it up. Letsani from Europe. I'll just say Europe. How about that? Can I just call you Europe, Letsani?
No, Laysan from Connecticut.
Laysan.
Thank you.
Okay, so Kenneth Johnson just tuned in. Laysan. Let me get that right.
It's okay if you want to say it right. It's fine.
Yeah, Laysan. And then Kenneth just tuned in. So Kenneth, I guess Kenneth Johnson is representing Nicole Matthews Johnson, I'm assuming. So I'm keeping track of who's in right now. There we go. So what I was saying, guys, welcome everyone. I guess I got 2 more people I'm waiting on, but we'll just continue as we go. So the purpose of this seminar is to give you as much content, just about the same amount of content, and it's more of a condensed version, but so much value and content at this cheap price to try to see if you guys are, really serious about wanting to be independent freight dispatchers. So let me see, I have some people who are muted. There we go. So, Dispatcher 101 Training for Beginners seminar is an offshoot of the actual ongoing course where we train people, we hold your hands in the sense of, for those of you who know very little, if anything, about being an independent freight dispatcher. What does all that mean? How is it done? What's the best way to go about, or what's a way? I don't want to say the best way, but what is a way to go about being a freight dispatcher, independent freight dispatcher? So everyone's in except Theory. So the goal here tonight is to, and let me know if you guys who did not receive the attached training materials, all the material, the eBooks and things like that. So there was so much value sent to you guys that I just wanted you guys to benefit for this price. Kind of like Blue Magic from the movie American Gangster. Twice the value, half the price. So an independent freight dispatcher is someone who has a relationship with a truck driver, a carrier, an owner-operator. These terms are synonymous. They all mean the same thing, just different variations of it. So what you do is you find the loads for them either directly through a broker or through a direct shipper or through what's called a spot market load boards. And you find those loads for the carriers, and then you book those loads by negotiating the rates from the posted loads on the load boards with the brokers in such a way that it benefits your carriers. And then once your carrier delivers, we train you to invoice the carrier after they've delivered the load and gotten paid, and then you invoice your carrier to get paid. So the first thing that you need to focus on as an independent dispatcher after you've gotten your business set up, your home office set up, is acquiring carriers, getting carriers. So the way to get carriers is through what's called a dispatcher agreement. So what a dispatcher agreement is, and I think you guys have had that in your training materials. So a dispatcher agreement is the contract or the relationship that you, the independent freight dispatcher, and the carrier or the truck driver or the owner operator establish. So this is the back office of the ongoing subscription-based training. And this is what the members see. I'm just giving you a glimpse of a little bit of it because this is where my dispatcher agreement is located. So if you guys have this in front of you, or if you have it in your training materials, just type yes in the chat so I'll know. So I'm going to break this down so you guys can kind of get an idea, a taste of what's to come for you guys being dispatchers, freight dispatchers. Okay. So someone type yes, yes. Okay. Erica says she has it. Okay. So I'm assuming since Erica has it, everyone else does. And if you do not, let me know, please. So the purpose of this dispatcher agreement is to establish the relationship between the dispatcher and the owner operator, the truck driver, the carrier, right? So, and this is just a template, my example of my company's template to use as an example for you guys to format your own design for your business, because I'm sure as you develop your business, you want to get a logo for your specific business and put it here. And then you can change the format of the dispatch agreement how you see fit, okay? But you want to be sure that, I don't know why I did that, okay. You want to be sure that you have the body of the dispatch agreement say what it needs to say for you and the carrier, the owner operator or the truck driver to be in agreement. So dispatcher would be your name, let's say Laysan, you know, or Kanika or whoever, Donna Moore, your dispatcher name goes here, or, and then your phone number, it'll be your business line, because this is a business for you. Your email will be whatever business email you set up either through your website or you just created one on your own. I created mine through my website. I bought a domain through the Wix.com platform. And then my website is a Wix.com designed website, but you don't see Wix in the name. When you buy a domain, it takes away the Wix out of that. So the same with any other like GoDaddy or whatever. Once you buy the domain, it takes their name out of it and puts your unique name into it. So, but the point here is, you know, it just has these professional identifiers. So when your carrier sees that, he or she knows that they are dealing with a professional. Okay. So here, and then by the way, too, if you have any questions, type it in the chat or unmute yourself. And if you want me to further explain a few things, just let me know. All right. I want to make sure that, you know, you guys get an idea, you know, a beginning idea of what certain forms are and what the purpose of them, of those forms are. All right. So you can say dispatch service agreement. You can say dispatcher agreement. You can say load management agreement, or however you want to term that. That's up to you, because again, this is just a template, and whatever you want to structure your business under would be how you design that. So here in this area here will be where the carrier is going to fill this out. So let's say I'm a truck driver carrier. So, and I fill this out for one of you guys who's a dispatching company. So I'll say, and I'll be, let's say ABC Trucking. So ABC Trucking, and I got in parentheses the carrier. I could put owner operator, I can put truck driver in the parentheses. Again, it depends on how you want to structure that. The owner operator of truck number 1, trailer number 2, MC and DOT number. So the MC number and DOT number, MC stands for motor carrier. That's a motor carrier number. DOT stands for Department of Transportation number. These are unique numbers that are issued by, in the case of the MC, by the FMCSA, which is the Federal Motor Carriers Safety Administration, and in the case of the DOT, by the Department of Transportation. So they issue these numbers to uniquely identify every trucking company out here to have an authority to move general freight throughout the United States. So if you see on the side of the truck doors, MC number 12345, DOT number 67890, you know that that's the number that's identified with that trucking company by FMCSA and DOT. That's all that means, okay? So the DOT number and MC number hereby grants, so again, I'm the carrier filling this out, hereby grants authorization or permission to, and then this yellow highlighted name, that'll be where you put your dispatching name or your dispatching company's name. Okay, so you can either put this, you can put your company name up here under dispatcher, or you can put your personal name. So if you want to put Donna's dispatching service, and then wherever you put it here, you want to keep it uniform throughout the dispatcher agreement. So you grant Donna's dispatching service to act as my agent for the sole purpose of searching for and booking loads, processing all brokerage paperwork, and obtaining and submitting all the documents required in order to expedite loads and dispatch either through the telephone, fax, email for my truck, license plate number 123 in the state of, I happen to be in Virginia, so Virginia. So let's break this down a little bit because everything else is kind of a little bit simpler after that. It's just filling out their name, giving you authorization to fill out this carrier packet, the carrier packets and the rate confirmations for them, but I'll go over that in a second. But what is the purpose of searching for and booking loads? What is processing all brokerage paperwork? And what is obtaining and submitting all necessary documents? So searching for and booking loads, that is done via the load boards. So you as the dispatcher, you'll go on the load boards, or you'll talk to a direct shipper or a broker and book loads, find loads that match the profile of your carrier based off of the profile that they filled out also, because along with the dispatcher agreement, the carrier you're going to also send the carrier a profile sheet. So the purpose of the profile sheet is for the carrier to tell you how they want their loads, how they want, to run. So they're going to identify their equipment type, and we'll go over that in a second, and where they want to run, how much weight they want to carry, how much cents per mile they want per load, things like that. So when you get all that, and again, this is a template, so you can add to and take away from this template to cater your business model, your company, your dispatching company. So when you look for loads for your carrier, you're going to cater your load search according to the profile of that particular carrier. That's what the carrier profile or the carrier preference sheet means. When you look for a load board, you will search it based off of the profile, and then you'll call that carrier once you match a load, once you find a load that matches the profile. Okay, so the first two important documents are the dispatcher agreement and the profile. You get those back, and then there are some other documents that you need to initially be returned to you by the carrier when you first send out the dispatcher agreement and the profile to be filled out. And 3 of these documents are needed, and a 4th is a possibility if your carrier has what's called a factoring company. But the first one is, remember I said MC and DOT? Well, every carrier has what's called an MC authority letter. Every truck driver, carrier, owner, operator has what's called an MC number, an MC authority letter. So remember, FMCSA and DOT issues unique numbers. MC would go here, DOT would go here. This is just a blank one. I'm just giving you an idea of what it looks like and where the numbers will be on that letter. The service date is when their authority became active. So in this example, September 14th, 2015. Every carrier has in their possession their MC authority letter. Otherwise, they cannot move freight out here on these roads. If they do not have an MC, they're not allowed to book loads, because a broker, when you call a broker, they're going to ask for this document along with the other 2 I'm getting ready to explain in order to vet out and get that carrier set up with that brokerage to move that load. So this is the first other document in addition to the dispatch agreement and the profile sheet that you would want to get from your carrier initially prior to booking loads for them. Any questions so far?
No questions.
All right. All right, so the second one is, the second other document is the W-9. So everyone's seen a W-9, at least I believe everyone's seen a W-9. This is where you for tax purposes and for your business, when you go to the irs.gov website and you fill it out to get an EIN number, which is a 9-digit number similar to a social security number, here is where you put the social security number. But if you have a business, you're going to receive an EIN number, an employer identification number. So this is where you would put that. 9-digit number, 2-7 digits, as opposed to 3-2-4 with the social, you normally associate your EIN with your business. So up here in number 1 on the W-9, number 1 is where you put the name, the truck driver, ABC Trucking, or let's say Charles, in my case, the name is going to be on the income tax form. And then you would say in line 2, DBA, doing business as ABC Trucking. So this is how a carrier may fill it out. And then line 3 or block 3 here is the legal structure of your particular business, whether it's an LLC, C Corp, S Corp, partnership, single member sole proprietor, or single member LLC. Most people do LLC because they want to protect their personal assets. The purpose of the LLC is if you get sued, they can only go after the assets of the business and they cannot touch your personal assets. That's just one of the various reasons people choose LLC. So that's line 3 or block 3. And then block 5 and 6 or line 5 and 6 is where the carrier will put their street address, city, state, and zip. Part 1 will be the EIN. I've seen carriers associate, even though they had an EIN number, for whatever reason, I don't know why, but they associated their personal social security number with their business. That's a no-no, honestly, but associate your EIN number with your business. Just like when you guys form your business and you get an EIN number, when you put it on the W-9 for tax purposes, you want to put the EIN number associated with the business. And then you simply sign it and date it. And that's it for the W-9. It just shows that you are a legitimate business. You have an EIN number that was registered to you by the IRS.gov website. All right. Number 3 that you get from the carrier, the third major other document that you get back from the carrier other than the dispatcher agreement and the profile sheet is the certificate of insurance. So the purpose of the certificate of insurance is to show brokers that your carrier has enough insurance coverage to cover the freight that they're going to be hauling on their trailers when they take a load. So cargo, the minimum required coverage for cargo is $100,000 and the minimum coverage for liability is $1 million. So on this certificate of insurance, you have the date that the insurance was brought up. The producer is the insurance company. The insured is the trucking company, ABC Trucking. Over here would be the insurance agent representing that company, let's say Progressive, for example. So an insurance agent, Jane Doe, their name, their cell number, fax number, and email will go here. In this area here is where the insurance information will be. The type of insurance, the policy number, the date that it was introduced, and the expiration date, and the type of policy, whether it's a liability at $1 million or $2 million, or whether it's cargo at 100,000. And the policy number usually go here, something like ABC-1N456 or something like that. It's usually in that conventional design. And then down here you have the signature, and then you have what's an area called certificate holder. The certificate holder area, when you're booking loads and talking to a broker, sometimes the broker is going to ask you to be made a certificate holder on the carrier's certificate of insurance. So as a dispatcher, what you would do in that situation, because you have a copy of your carrier's certificate of insurance in your possession, you would call the insurance agent and say, hey, Jane Doe or John Doe, I need a new certificate of insurance listing the following brokerage as the certificate holder. And that's how you would say it in that way. And then what they're going to ask you for is just the name of the brokerage, the street address, city, state, and zip, and they're going to put that information right in this block. And then next, they're going to ask you, who do I email or fax this to? So if you are a dispatcher, you would, if I were you, I would say, okay, fax or email it to the broker's email that I'm dealing with trying to book this load, and then make sure you CC me a copy of it so I'll have it for my records. That's the best way to handle it. Or you could, if you're new, you may say, send it to me, and then you send it to the broker, but it looks professional, more professional to a broker to receive a certificate of insurance listing their brokerage as a certificate holder directly from the insurance company. It looks more professional coming directly from the insurance company. So, any questions there?
I have a question on a W-9. I don't know if you can go back for a second.
Yep, right here.
Yeah. Now, when you do it, I know through this deal with the carrier, did I put his EIN number on this or mine?
Well, you don't touch the W-9 when you get these documents from the carrier. It's already going to be filled out, because remember, prior to you knowing this carrier or getting this carrier to say, I want you to be my dispatcher, I'm sure they've already been running loads and booking loads and with, either by themselves and they all of a sudden need a dispatcher, or they had a dispatcher and that dispatcher didn't work out for them, but they've already been doing loads for a while, let's say, for example. So they already got a pre-filled W-9 already. So you don't fill anything out. You're just getting a copy of what of a pre-filled out W-9 for your records. So when you book loads for them now, because now you're their dispatcher, and you go
okay.
to, right, and you go to the broker.
I see. Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought because we kind of working together with carrier, I was not sure
Right.
his EIN number or mine now, or
Yeah.
when
It's always going to be the carrier's EIN number, because just think of it like this: when you are booking a load for your carrier with a broker, the broker is not going to ask for the EIN number of the dispatcher, because it's not the dispatcher that's moving that load for that broker, it's the carrier. So just keep that in mind. So they're going to need the carrier's W-9 information and not the dispatchers. All right.
All right. Thanks, Charles.
All right. You're welcome. So the 3 documents, 1, 2, 3. Now there's a 4th document. Let's say you get a carrier under a dispatcher agreement and they have a factoring company. The purpose of a factoring company is to get the carrier paid like quicker, like between 24 to 48 hours, as opposed to waiting on the broker to pay you maybe 5 to 7 days or a net 30 or net 45 day pay. The factoring company, they'll take that POD that the carrier just sent to them because they just delivered that load. It was a BOL, and then it turned into a POD, proof of delivery. Once they delivered the load, it's a BOL when they started off picking up the load at the shipper, which is a BOL stands for bill of lading. And then once they deliver the load, it's a POD, it's a proof of delivery now, because all the signatures are on there. So they'll forward that to their factory company, and the factory company will see that, and then they'll pay them ahead of time, and then they'll go after the broker for the remainder of the monies. Because factory companies charge a percentage for that type of service, for the ability to cash flow them their money ahead of time. So that's the whole point of the factory company. They're like an internalized bank, so to speak. So if your carrier has a factoring company, then you would have them send you what's called a notice of assignment, an NOA. The purpose of a notice of assignment is for the factoring company to run a credit check on the broker to see if there are any issues or any red flags on the broker. And if there are, they're going to warn the carrier, say, hey, this broker is not factorable. We can't pay you 24 to 48 hours because this broker has a history of not paying their loads on time. So why would we as a factoring company take that risk with them, give you your money up front, and then have to chase this broker for the money if there's red flags, if there's a history of the broker not paying? So the purpose of the NOA form, the notice of assignment, is to protect the carrier as well as the factoring company, because they're going to run a credit check, because the broker by law has to fill this out and return it to the carrier so the carrier can submit it to their factoring company and they run their checks, and then they'll go from there. So even brokers are not factorable because of, whether they don't pay on time or whatever. So those are the documents that you would need starting out up front. You would need, of course, the dispatch agreement and the profile, right? And then the other 3 documents, the MC authority letter, the W-9, and the certificate of insurance, and then an NOA form. Now, let's say you let's say you don't have any software All right, can you see my screen? I just want to make, I thought I seen something. So let's say you don't have any software to manage your carriers and all these documents they're sending you. Let's say you got 3 carriers. Every carrier is sending you a dispatch agreement profile and those other documents that you need to book loads, right? You can just create like file folders on your desktop and just, you know, categorize them based off of the equipment types. So now, speaking of which, if you guys were to decide to enroll in this platform, this ongoing platform, we go over the first module is carrier acquisition, okay? So carrier acquisition, what carrier acquisition means is actually getting a carrier to say, yeah, I want you to be my dispatcher. How do, you know, where do we go from here? Send me your dispatch agreement and profile. I'll fill that out, return it back to you. Now, the next question will be, okay, well, what type of carriers or what type of equipment or what type of truck driver or owner operators do we go after as new and beginner dispatchers? So what I like to train and recommend is the 3 major equipment types out here are what you see on the screen here, if you still can see the screen, the 53-foot dry vans, the 53-foot reefers or refrigerated trailers, and then the 48 or 53-foot flatbeds. So I'm going to explain what that means, equipment types and things like that. But the reason why they are the 3 major ones is because on the load boards and out here on the roads, these are the 3 common ones that you see all the time. And these are the easiest ones that you can find loads for and book loads. So as a new dispatcher starting out, it would just make sense to start off with the easiest ones to get your feet wet with first, and then go after the other ones, the box trucks, the hot shots, the sprinter vans, the cargo vans. But why not start off with the easier ones to get your feet wet, to get the process down and the workflow down of how to be a dispatcher, and then you can challenge yourself later by going after those other equipment types. So what is an equipment type? What makes up an equipment type? What does that word come from? If you notice here, you have a tractor or a truck, and then you have a trailer attached to that truck, right? You guys see that?
Yes, we can see it.
Okay, so the trailer, the type of trailer attached to the truck makes up what's called the equipment type. So this is a dry van type of trailer attached to this truck. So this is a dry van equipment type. That's why we call it a dry van, because of the type of trailer that's attached to the truck or coupled to the truck. If any truck drivers in here, they know what that word means. It's coupled, it's connected to the 5th wheel. Okay. The next one is, you don't see a truck attached to it, but if there was a truck attached to this reefer trailer, and the reason why I say we call it a reefer trailer is because it's similar to a dry van. It's similar to a dry van trailer, but the only difference is it has a cooling unit on here, which is called a TCU, temperature control unit. What that does is everything in this trailer or the commodity or what's being hauled, the TCU, the temperature control unit, keeps the trailer pre-cooled to a certain temperature according to what was agreed upon between the broker and the carrier when that load was booked. 0 degrees, -5 degrees, -10 degrees, 34 degrees, whatever the commodity that's being hauled, chickens, beverages, produce, whatever, has to be cooled to a certain temperature. So if there was a truck or a tractor connected to this reefer trailer, this would be a reefer or a refrigerated equipment type, okay? The next one and the third one is a flatbed trailer or a flatbed equipment type. So you have a truck, again, or a tractor, sometimes they'll call it a power-only unit, and it's connected to a flatbed trailer. So this is a flatbed equipment type. So you guys follow that? So you're gonna hear that a lot out here in the transportation industry, in the dispatching world. So that's why I wanted to introduce it to you at the onset, okay? So the three major equipment types to start off with for beginner dispatchers are the dry vans, the flatbeds, and the reefers, okay? Any questions on those or on that?
No. No questions.
Well, you guys are studious. Now, so now that you understand what equipment types are, now that you understand the three major ones to start off with, how do I go after them? What do I do to acquire these equipment types of carriers? Well, the methods used to acquire them, and we go over this in the trainings. The number one method, of course, if you have a truck stop physically in your region, let's say a 15, 20-mile radius at the most, maybe 30, that you can visit, then you can go up there with your, if you have them already, business cards and flyers for your business, or just yourself, to conversate with the truck drivers that are up there. And you let them know, like, I'm a dispatcher, this is what I do, I find those. And however you talk to the the carriers, to convince them that you can provide a service for them or solve a problem for them. Because we are problem solvers as dispatchers, right? We want to keep them finding good paying loads and keep their wheels moving, keep them running. So truck stops is the number one method used to acquire carriers. Some common names of truck stops: TAs, Flying J's, Pilots, Loves. Those are the common truck stops names in the major metropolitan areas. You see them all on the interstates when you are traveling, if you're driving and you're going to the interstate.
They're easy to get it for you.
Can you repeat those again? I heard the TA, Flying J, and Loves. What was the?
So is it Kimberly?
Yes.
Okay, so you have Loves, TAs, Flying J's, Pilots. Those are some of the common truck stops. So where are you from? What area? What major metropolitan city are you near, Kimberly?
Atlanta.
Oh my God! You are in a freaking gold mine.
Yes, I know.
Truck stops near Atlanta, Georgia. You can simply put it in Google, right? And boom. Oh yeah, I forgot about Petro. So if you hit that right there, so you are 285, I-20. So look at all these truck stops in your area. I don't know if you're metropolitan or you within the city, but
Yes, I'm right near 285 and 20. So
there you go. So you got a choice. You got all these truck stops that you can potentially go into and speak to the carriers.
thank you.
All right. So let's do that. Let's do that again. And what I'll do is I'll copy that link and just put it in here so you can just have it. Truck stops near Atlanta, Georgia. And then the result of that is right there. So you got all of them, and then you just open that up. Let me put that in there into the chat real quick. Bam, there you go. All right, so that's number one. All right, somebody said something here in the chat. Okay, you're welcome. So number two is what most people fear, actually, cold calling. You have some people who are okay with cold calling. Like if you used to work in a call center, then you have no problem with no's, right? A lot of no's. People get a lot of no's before you get a yes, right? Yes, yes is the destination, but no is how you get there, right? I got a book that somebody recommended me a book. I don't know if they're in this training tonight, the seminar tonight, but it says Go for No. I actually, about a week ago, I bought the book off of Amazon. So Go for No. And I'm reading it now. I'm almost done with it. It's only like 85 pages. But it says Go for No. Yes is the destination. No is how you get there. So you got to go through a lot of no's in order to get to a yes to be successful in certain things. So in this case, if you're going to cold call carriers, then you have to have a way to do that. What resource that you're going to use, and then what are you going to say? Like what script are you going to use, or what conversation are you going to have with them, right? So in our training, in our ongoing training, we have about 4 different resources that we use, one of which is a load board called Trucker's Path. So I'll give you a taste of that here. My guy's going to kill me, my students. What are you doing? No, it's fine. So this is a resource in the back office. We have several load boards. If you are enrolled in this platform, you have access to about 6 or 7 load boards, one of which is Trucker's Path or Truckloads. And a feature on here is called the truck search feature, okay? And what we do in conjunction with this load board, we used the FMCSA Safer website. I'm going to show you guys that and show you how this is just one of our methods that we use to vet out carriers prior to calling them to make sure that they're not part of they're not an asset part of a brokerage. So we won't be doing what's called double brokerage, because that's frowned upon in the transportation industry. So this is the Safer website. This is a company snapshot website where you can look up carriers, brokers, freight forwarders, anything transportation related, based either through their DOT number, their MC number, or the name of the trucking company, the name of the brokerage, the name of the freight forwarding company. So you can look them up and then get more information about it. So we use the Safer website in conjunction with a truck search feature to look up carriers to call to do cold calling. So when you first get to, and now this is all, remember now, this is all under module 1, carrier acquisition. And this is just step 2 under cold calling. So we have other modules too, load boards, how to navigate the load boards, how to book the load when you talk to the broker, and then how to invoice the carrier, and then other resources. So let's go back. I don't want to digress too much. So on Trucker's Path, when you look up, remember the 3 major equipment types? So in this gray box, pickup is whatever states you want to do. I leave all states selected because I want to increase my probability of finding a carrier by having all states selected. But if you want to choose your specific state, like Georgia, for example, you can, but why not increase the probability by using all states? And then under equipment or equipment types, I'm going to check any to deselect everything, and I'm going to select the 3 major ones that we discussed: flatbeds, vans, and reefers, dry vans and reefers. And then, so no, all I'm doing now is filtering out my criteria before I hit search. So this number 206 is going to decrease because I'm filtering out, I'm specifying specifics, right? So under safety, I'm going to uncheck conditional and just leave satisfactory selected, only satisfactory. Because why would I want to have a carrier under a dispatcher agreement who has a safety rating of either conditional or unsatisfactory? I would not want that, because I'm going to decrease the likelihood of booking a load, because once the broker looks up their MC number to try to get them set up, they're going to see a conditional or an unsatisfactory rating, and that's going to be a red flag for them. So only go after carriers who have satisfactory ratings, and you'll save yourself a whole lot of headache and time booking loads. I'm gonna hit search. And now 206 or 209 turns into 132, okay? So you guys are following along now? Do you want me to go back over that to show you how to navigate it again, or are you guys good?
I think I'm good.
Anyone else?
I'm good.
Okay, so now I got a result set based off of this filtered criteria search. So now I got 132. So this is how you read this. You read it horizontally. So this person, Just For You Trucking, they actually posted twice, but they posted a minute ago. They are a flatbed equipment type. They're satisfactory because all of them are satisfactory, right? They're gonna all say satisfactory. Nakia Rice is the name, and then the contact number, right? The phone number. So if you notice, there are little blue drop-down arrows. What that does is it expands that particular one that you clicked on to give you more data about them. So when I do that, I either copy the MC or the DOT number, let's do MC, And here's where I go to the Safer website to get more data about that trucking company. That's why I was saying you use the you use the Safer website in conjunction with this. So this person is a flatbed. There are one person, one unit, one power unit, one truck, and one driver. So it's just a flatbed person. Now, if I was to call this person live, they are in the flatbed category. But remember, hot shots are also in the flatbed categories. I don't know if you guys are familiar with hot shot trucking, but those are the dually pickup trucks with trailers attached to them up to 40 feet. Those are hot shots, right? So let me give you an example of what that hot shot looks like. And then you'll say, okay, yeah, I know what that is. Hot shot trucking, just to show you. Well, let's do this. To save time, let's go to images.google.com. And we can get images of something. Now we do a search for it, hot shot trucking, and it should just show pictures of it. Right, there you go. So these are what hot shots look like. So do these look familiar to you guys, right? Hot shot. So again, the dually truck, a pickup truck like a Ram 3500 or a 2500 with a trailer hitched on into the bed of the truck, and it goes up to 40 feet or 35 feet with a 5-foot dovetail ramp, right? Those are hot shot trucks. There's one here too, but they're in the flatbed category because they're flatbeds. And the reason why I'm saying this is if you are on Trucker's Path and you are calling a flatbed carrier to try to get under a dispatch agreement, that person could be a hot shot. So now you are at a crossroads to decide if you want to dispatch for that person. Because remember what I said, the 3 major equipment types are the 48 to 53-foot flatbeds, 53-foot dry vans, and 53-foot reefers. So let's see if this person is a hot shot, right? So I'm going to do a live call in this training right now. And then you're also going to hear a conversation, a script. Now, I don't know what this person do. He may hang up on me, may be rude, whatever. And it's Nakia, so this sounds like it's a female, right? So we have a number here, 398-850, and then also we have a number here. So she may be a driver for that company. So let's call Nakia and see, right? 850. So I don't know if any trainers do this for you guys, but you see me calling someone, right?
Your call has been forwarded.
And obviously, so they're either resting, doing their reset, or something. Donna Moore just asked, do they charge more money for insurance for hot shot trucks on the policy? No, because it's a smaller truck. It's the same or a little bit less. I just got a text. It could be this person texting me saying that, who is this, or, okay, never mind. That's my wife sending me a text. So if that person would have picked up Nakia, and they may call back, so I'm gonna leave my ringer up because they may call back. So in the training, I'll just take the call and then show you how to talk to carriers. They would have picked the phone up, and I would have said, hey, can I speak to Nakia, please? Oh yeah, who is this? Can I help you? You know how truck drivers are, the attitudes, and who is this? What do you want? So, and that's fine. That attitude is starting to filter out in the culture of trucking because a lot of the older truck drivers are starting to phase out, retire, and the younger generation is coming in now, right? So that's even better for getting carriers under an agreement too. You're getting rid of all the older carriers who have that old school mentality that they can do it themselves, and it's phasing in with the younger people. So that helps out a little bit more too. But if she would have picked up, I would have said, are you under a load or looking for a load for your flatbed? And then let's say the conversation would have went positively. Then I would say, you got a 48 or a 53-foot flatbed? And if she would have said, no, I got a hot shot, then I would have been at a crossroads because I'm now if I'm a new dispatcher, I have to decide, well, am I ready to take on the challenge of a hot shot right now? I'm just starting, and those loads are not as easy to find as, let's say, a 48 or a 53-foot flatbed compared to a 40-foot hot shot. So as a new dispatcher, that's the question I have to ask myself. But you wouldn't have known that if you didn't know that it's easier to find loads for 48 and 53 footers than it is for hot shots. So, all right. But this is how you navigate. This is one of the resources that we use to navigate finding carriers. There are others. We got Quick Transport Solutions. We have the DAT directory, and there's another one too. There's four of them. Can't think of the other one right now, but it's in our back office. So, all right. So that's under carrier acquisition. So let's say for example, we found a flatbed carrier. So let's use, was it Kimberly out of Atlanta?
Yes.
So let's say we found a carrier. They sent us back the dispatch agreement and profile, and we want to go on a load board and find something for them, because after module 1 is module 2. Okay. So let me see here. I want to make sure no one is. All right. So let's say now that we found the carrier and we vetted them out with Safer, and we gotten, so I'm gonna log out of this because I just gave you guys a glimpse of this here. All right. So Lisani, I keep losing you there, huh? So now here's one of our load boards. So the purpose of a load board is where the brokers post the loads and the carriers go on the load board to try to book those loads and make that money from that load, right? So it's a relationship between the broker and the carriers, and sometimes the direct shippers too. So this is a popular load board. It's called 123 Load Board. It's one of the load boards on our platform. We have 123 Load Board. We have Internet Truck Stop. We have DAT Truckers Edge. What else? We have Truckers Path. DOF. There's so many good ones on there. So when you first get on this load board, let's see here. You go to find loads. This is how you navigate this particular load board. So can everybody see this? Give you a glimpse of the load board navigation as well. Okay, so let's go to the alerts here and get rid of these. Oh, these alerts, yeah. Okay, X out of that. Okay, everybody's saying yes. I just want to make sure before I proceed. So on the load board, and I'm going to use Atlanta, Georgia as a, Kimberly as a example. Let's say that flatbed carrier we just found wanted a load out of Atlanta going anywhere that's paying at least $2.25 a mile. Okay, so on the carrier profile, that flatbed carrier wanted at least $2.25 a mile, and they don't want to haul no more than 40,000 pounds on their truck. Now you could haul about 46 to 48,000 pounds on a 48 to 53 foot flatbed, but why do you think they don't want to haul no more than 40,000 pounds on that flatbed trailer? What's the reason, in your opinion, why that is?
They don't want to be overweight.
Right, they don't want to be overweight, and they also want to save on fuel costs, because the more weight you're hauling, the more fuel you're burning. And fuel is expensive. Diesel fuel is expensive for the carriers. So yeah. So 40,000 pounds, $2.25 a mile. So here, section A or origin is where they're going to pick the load up from the shipper. So Atlanta, Georgia, in Kimberly's case. And the radius or the deadhead is how far or what radius they want to travel empty in to pick that load up. So it's usually between 100 and 150 miles deadhead, or the radius. And here's what I mean. Let me open up a map to see I don't know if you'll be able to see the map that I opened up or not. Let me see. So can you guys see that map?
No, we can't see the map.
Okay, so the map is not showing on the Zoom. Let me see. Let me go to the screen share. Let me see. I'm gonna share it now. Can you see it now?
Yes, we can see it.
Okay, so
Yes.
on the load board where they said 150 miles radius or deadhead, that means within the Atlanta metropolitan area and a 100-mile radius surrounding that, they're willing to travel empty to pick up a load to go anywhere else. That's what that means. Okay, it's on the map. So let me go back to the share and change it back to the load board. Now, so they're picking up out of Atlanta with a 150-mile radius. The destination they want to go is anywhere. You got 3 tabs. You can go to a specific city that you want to pick up from Atlanta, going to a specific city. Let's say you got a carrier that's trying to get back home and he lives in Detroit, Michigan. He said, I want to pick up something in Atlanta or within a 100-mile radius of Atlanta, and I need to go back to Detroit, Michigan within a 100-mile radius of that so I can get close to home. Or he says, I can go anywhere because I'm gonna be out here for 2 weeks, 3 weeks at a time. So just find me a load out of Atlanta. I'm in Atlanta right now. I'm about to be empty in about 20 minutes. I need a load, or let's say 2 hours. He's being offloaded. So I want something out of Atlanta and going anywhere. So you can go city, you can go a map if you want specific states, or you can just say anywhere, which broadens your load results and gives you more loads. I'm not going to say Canada. Let's say he don't have a passport, he can't go to Canada, right? So now under equipment types, he's a flatbed. So let me open this up and uncheck everything and just select the specific, because flatbed has different categories of flatbed: low boys, double drops, maxis, removable step decks. Just going to say a plain flatbed. All right. So, and let me hide that. Picking up any date. Remember, he said he wants to haul no more than 40,000 pounds, right? That was the example that he said. So, and you put that there, and then you hit search. So now you see the results in this particular load board, the features of this load board. You get 88 loads that popped up based off of the search criteria that we put in there. So in 123 load board, the first thing I do is, because some of them show the rate, others do not. So what I do, I click offer with my mouse, and it's going to put it in order of the highest paying to the lowest paying, going down, right? So if you notice that it just changed, 2,400 going down, going down, going down, right? So now this first one, Austell, Georgia, which is 14 miles outside of Atlanta or within Atlanta, going to Iowa, somewhere in Iowa, Cascade, Iowa, right? Another thing too, as dispatchers, you want to educate yourself or be aware of, and you'll come to learn that as you dispatch over and over again. When you get a load for your carrier, you want to make sure that you send them to an area that you can get loads out of. You don't want to send them to a dead freight area or a dead state, because they'll be sitting there for days trying to get a load to get out of there, right? And every day you sit there, you could potentially lose $800 to $1,000. So be mindful of where you send the carriers to when you get them a load and book a load for them. So that's the whole load planning and load strategizing concept that dispatchers come to do. So as you dispatch over time, let's say 6 months, you start to notice that there are good loads for a specific equipment type, like flatbeds in this example, along the southern corridor of the country, like the Texas is, the Louisiana, Mississippi. So you keep your carriers running in those states back and forth, making good money. You don't want to send them out to the west past the Rocky Mountains or to the northeast up there by the tolls and everything, because you understand the costs involved in that. So you want to send them, the best area to send them to from the south is to the Midwest, because there's freight all over in the Midwest, Michigan, Ohio, Indiana, Kentucky, Wisconsin. You can get freight in and out of West Virginia. You can get freight in and out of those areas all the time, irregardless of the equipment type, dry van, flatbed, or reefer. So when I say equipment type, I'm meaning the 3 major equipment types, okay? So this right here, the result set for this one is right here. So when you click anywhere in here, it's gonna expand this and give you more details about that particular load. If you notice, it gives you the rate per mile, because to calculate the rate per mile so that you would know that your carrier is getting paid for that load, you take what the load is paying, 2,400 in this example, and you divide that by the miles that they're traveling, 870 miles. So that's $2.76 per mile. It's 275.8, but until you round it up, 276, right? And also, you guys, did you get that?
Yes.
Okay, I just want to make sure I don't want to lose nobody. So that's a common theme. That's a common formula that a dispatcher needs to know. Whenever you want to calculate cents per mile on a load that you're looking for your carrier, you divide, and you on a load board, if the load amount, the rate for the load is posted and the miles is posted, the total loaded miles, you would take the rate that it's paying and you divide it by the miles. That'll give you cents per mile. That's what that means. The rate per mile, cents divided by miles. So this one is $2.75. Remember, in our example, we said our carrier wanted $2.25. So he's well above his cents per mile. He has his 40,000 pound maximum that he wants. And in this detail, it says strap and go. Basically, what that means is they're going to load his flatbed, and all he got to do is just put straps on it and go. He doesn't have to put what's called tarp on that load. He just strap it and go. So this is a potentially good load for that carrier. Guys, follow that?
Yes.
Any questions about the load board?
Would it show if they have to wait?
As far as detention, wait.
No, if they have to wait a load.
Or if they have to weigh the load.
Because it says strap and go. So if he's strapping and going, do he have to weigh the load and make sure that he's at 40 pounds? That he's not overweight?
Right. Some facilities have a weigh station before they leave, especially for flatbeds. Then also when the carrier's on the road, they have to stop in weigh stations pretty much along their route anyway to make sure that they are within weight. And if they are overweight, there's usually a state trooper there or a DOT officer there to pull them over when they are overweight, to give them what's called a level 1 or a level 3 inspection, to see why they're overweight and to potentially put them out of service for being overweight. So most carriers know not to be overweight because they don't want to threaten their livelihood by being put out of service, especially if they are under a load. I can't imagine a carrier being under a load, risking being put out of service. Now they're losing the money, and then their insurance is going to have to cover that freight that they're under. So not only do they lose the money of that load, but now their premiums potentially go up. So yeah. Any other questions? No.
I got a question. When you said about detention time, is that when they're sitting waiting to be to get loaded or unloaded?
That is correct. So let's say for example, it's not usually the case with flatbeds, but with dry vans and reefers, they can pull up to a facility, a distribution center, what we call DCs, and they'll go to the security gate. They'll say, hey, this is Charles with ABC Truck, and I'm here to pick up load number 123. They'll call up to the logistics person in the office and say, I got this truck, ABC Truck in here. They're here to pick up load number 123. They'll say, okay, send them to door 32. It's a big distribution center, right? So I'll go dock the truck in door 32. I'll go into the office, give them the paperwork. And they'll say, okay, go sit in your truck. We'll have you set up. We'll have you loaded in a second. When they say that, they really don't mean that, especially if it's a full truckload. It takes about an hour or two, depending on the pallet count of the load and things like that to load a truck. So that's why when you do, as a dispatcher, when you are filling out the carrier packets for your carriers with the brokerage, it usually lists detention time. The carrier usually gives for free the first 1 to 2 hours. And then after that, every hour after that, detention pays anywhere between $75 to $150 an hour of detention afterwards. So say you're sitting at, let's say you got to get unloaded like 5 hours, right? The first 2 hours were free, so they owe you 3 hours of detention. So they're going to pay you, let's say they pay you $100 detention time. So they're going to pay you an extra $300 for sitting there on top of what they want to pay you for the rate. Let's say in this example, $2,400, they owe you an extra $300. They're going to add that. So you invoice them, the carrier invoiced them the $300, the extra $300 that they had to wait for detention. And what I tell my dispatchers that I'm training to do is I do not add that $300 into the rate that I'm going to charge my percentage to that carrier, because that's their $300 because they sat there themselves. I wasn't there with them in that detention time, so I should not benefit from that $300. It's just not right in my opinion. So if, let's say if this was the load and they waited that 3 extra hours and they got an extra $300, I'm only going to charge them either the flat rate that I charge for the week for the carrier or a percentage range that I charge. You have 2 different ways to charge for your service as a dispatcher. You can either charge a flat rate, let's say $250 to $500 a week, depending on how many loads you book for that carrier for that week, or you can charge a percentage per load. And the range of percentages per load is 5 to 10%. So let's say 10%. Let's say you're an experienced, let's say you're 6 months in and you got some experience and now you can warrant charging 10%. So 10% of $2,400 is $240. So if you book this load for your carrier at $2,400, $240 goes to you, right? So another thing I teach is I don't pull that $240 from the $2,400, in other words, out the carrier's pocket. I add the 10% on top of the rate and renegotiate it with the broker on the broker side, so the carrier doesn't lose the money, the $2,400. So let's say we wanted that load. I'll call the broker back and, hey, Mr. Broker, we want this load, this flatbed load going from Austell, Georgia to Cascade, Iowa for $2,400, leaving out on, what is that, Wednesday, the 7th? But we want it for, so what I would already do, I would already have my numbers in. Let's say I charge 10% as a percentage. So what's 10% of 2,400? 240, right? So 240 plus the 2,400 is 2,640, right? So, and you always round up. So I want, let's say, Mr. Broker, we want to do it for 2,700. So I round it up. You always round up, you always negotiate up, and then the broker sometimes will come down and then you just meet them in the middle. You always add more money on top of the rate for the broker, because you can best believe these loads that are posted on this load board are a third of what the actual brokers are being paid by their customers, who are the shippers. They're trying to squeeze as much juice out of a turnip as possible with these loads. So negotiate as much as you can, at least get your percentage or your flat rate, what you're charging for that load, on top of what the load is already posted for, so that you can get the money for your service from the broker side as opposed to pulling it from the carrier's pocket. And that'll be a good bargaining chip when you are talking, or leverage when you are talking to the carrier to try to get them under a dispatcher agreement too. Just think of it like this: when you're talking to the carrier and they say, well, what can you do different than all the other dispatchers? Well, I charge a percentage, Mr. Carrier. I'm a new dispatching company about 3 months in. I charge, let's say, 7%. Let's say I find you a load for $3,000 to book the load. 7% of $3,000 is, what's that, $210. Instead of me pulling the money, $210 from $3,000, and then I got to give you $2,790, I'm going to negotiate that load and add my $210 on top of the $3,000. I'm going to go for $3,300 so that I get my money from the broker and you get your $3,000. So what a way to leverage the ability to explain to the carrier that you're not pulling the money from their pocket when you're booking those loads for them, but you're getting them from the broker side. So the carrier truly keeps their money. That's how we teach here. We don't pull the money from it. For the most part, I'll be honest, there have been cases where you had to, and the carrier wanted that load, and the broker didn't budge. They were what's called firm on the rate, right? You'll hear that a lot. Well, we're firm on the rate. We can't move. And then you call the carrier back and say, well, they're firm. You still want this load? Yeah, I want the load. All right, now I still got to get paid. So you got to take your percentage from their side. And the carrier said, that's fine. But he or she knows that you tried your best. But your first option always is to add your rate on top of the posted rate of that load on the load board, and then quote that to the broker. And if the broker agrees, then it's a win-win situation. You guys follow that, or do you want me to break that down a little bit?
No, that makes perfect sense.
Okay. That way, you're not pulling from the carrier's pocket. And again, you're leveraging that information and explaining it to the carrier and say, well, if I'm gonna be your dispatcher, I'm gonna always add my rate on top of the rate that the broker quotes and try to get it from the broker before I even consider, pulling it from your pocket, because I know that you have expenses. You have maintenance, you have fuel. Your largest line item expense, of course, is fuel, because you're moving that truck every day, so you have to pay for fuel. And then you have insurance, and then maintenance and repairs, and of course tires. Tires is up there too, because you have a lot of weight on this truck all the time, and it's always rolling. So as a dispatcher, as you educate yourself and learn and understand these things, and then you present that to a carrier, the carrier sees that, they're going to be more willing to work with you because they see that you understand their life or their business, you see? So that's why, from a basics perspective, I try to explain and teach you guys, or those who are my students, when you go after the carrier, you want to get the basic understanding. You want to understand their jargon, their lingo. The same holds true with the broker side. When you talk to the brokers, you want to understand their jargon, their lingo. So let's continue on with this theme in this example. Let's say you spoke to your carrier and you called them, or I'm the carrier, and let's say Kimberly was the dispatcher. She called me and said, hey, Charles at ABC Truck, and I found a load for your flatbed, man. It's going out of Austell, Georgia to Cascade, Iowa, paying $2,400. I'll say, okay, that sounds like a good load. That's well above my rate at $225. How much is the weight? It's 40,000. Okay, any details about the load? It's just a strap and go as far as I know. I haven't called the broker yet. Now, this is Kimberly talking to me, right? And then I'll say, okay, it's going to Iowa. I'm kind of worried about getting some backhaul out of there. Backhaul means that a load coming out of there, right? You want something coming either back to Georgia or anywhere else, but at least getting out of Iowa once you deliver, right? So I'll say, go ahead and call the broker. Go ahead. So Kimberly's going to call the broker and say, hey, Mr. Broker, hey, XYZ Brokerage, this is Kimberly's dispatching services, or Kimberly's logistics, right? I'm looking at this flatbed load here, leaving out on Wednesday the 7th, going from Austell, Georgia, going to Iowa. Is that load still available? And you will say it just like that. Is the load still available? The reason why I teach to say it that way is because sometimes you have cases where brokers have already booked this load, it's already covered. They'll say it is either booked or covered, but yet they've yet to take it down from being posted on the load board. That's why we still see it. So brokers are lazy like that. They haven't taken it down yet. They're either too busy or they just haven't had their agents take it down or whatever. So I phrase, and I learned that over time to phrase it that way because I experienced it several times. So that's why I start the sentence off, hey, Mr. or Mrs. Brokerage, XYZ Brokerage, I'm looking at this load going from A to Z. Is it still available? Now you want to make sure you say that. And the broker's going to say, oh yeah, let me check. By the way, what's your MC? So when they ask you that, they usually want you give them the MC of who? The carrier, right? Because number one, dispatchers do not have MCs. So you give them the MC of the carrier that you're calling about to book that load for, and the carrier with whom you have a dispatcher agreement with, right? So you give them the MC. They're going to look it up in their TMS system, their transportation management software system, to see if that carrier is already set up with their brokerage. And so they're going to get back with you, say, you're not set up with us, but that's not a problem. Who do I send the carrier packet to? So in your notes, in your training materials, you have carrier packets and rate confirmations and forms and documents. Let me look up forms and documents here. You guys should have a copy of carrier packet and a rate confirmation, right? So I'm gonna open up carrier packet and a rate confirmation. So this is an example of a carrier packet. This is what the broker sends the dispatcher or sends the carrier who does not have a dispatcher to fill out and return to them, along with those other documents that we mentioned, a copy of the W-9, a copy of the certificate of insurance, and a copy of the MC authority letter. So the broker's gonna say, you're not set up with us, but that's not a problem. Who do I send the broker carrier agreement to, or the setup packet to, or the onboard packet to? All three of those things mean the same thing. They're all synonymous, right? So you may hear them differently. Who do I send the agreement to? Who do I send the carrier packet to? Who do I send the onboarding packet to? It's the same thing. It's a process that the broker sends to the carriers or the dispatcher representing the carriers of getting them started to get set up with that brokerage. So, you go through the carrier packet. So the broker's information is going to be already pre-filled out here. Where it says carrier, do not put dispatcher's information. You put the carrier's information, because it's a broker carrier agreement. It's not a broker dispatcher agreement. It's a broker carrier, because it's a relationship between the broker and the carrier, because the carrier is moving loads for the broker. So it's not the dispatcher, right? Just want to make sure I'm clear on that, because I've had people, actually dispatchers, put their dispatching company name in the carrier line, even though it says carrier right here. So I just want to be clear. So.
Hi, and where will we find those forms at again?
You are Miss Johnson?
Yes, sir.
Nicole Matthews Johnson.
Yes, sir.
I emailed that to you under the email Johnson Courier Express at Gmail. I attached several PDFs. So I just want to make, can you check your email to see if you got that?
Yes, I was going through it before I unmuted myself to double check. I don't have the PDFs. Are you able to resend it to me, please?
I am. Let me check my sent folder.
Okay.
You check your spam folder? I just want to be sure.
Let me just check my spam.
It's come from Exodus Logistics LLC at yahoo.com.
I don't see anything in the spam.
Yeah, so I sent to you. I just want to verify that I actually did send it to Johnson Courier Express at gmail.com.
Right.
So yesterday, and if I did not, I sincerely apologize. That's why when everybody came in, I wanted to make sure that everyone had everything. And so you did not receive anything from Exodus whatsoever, apparently. Exodus.
No, sir.
And I do not see it in my sent folder. So I sincerely apologize. So let me do that right now.
No problem. Thank you.
All right. So Johnson. Here it is, Johnson Courier Express at gmail.com.
Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna title it Training Materials, and I'm going to attach those PDFs to you right now. And
okay,
again,
thank you.
Yep, I apologize again. I thought I covered everyone.
No, you're fine. Thank you.
So I'm gonna attach all of them here. Here you go. My apologies. And send. And please let me know, let me see, it says sending, sent. So please let me know when you receive them.
Okay, thank you.
All right. All right, so where were we? Broker carrier agreement. So we were in the example with Kimberly being the dispatcher and I was the carrier. She's calling the broker. The broker sent the carrier packet to Kimberly on my behalf. I'm the carrier, she's representing me. So she's going through, filling it out, putting my information, the carrier's information, where it goes on the broker carrier agreement representing the carrier's section, right? So most cases, the broker has their broker section already pre-filled out prior to sending it to the dispatcher or the carrier themselves. It's just that the carrier needs to, or the dispatcher needs to fill it out for the carrier. So under carrier, the dispatcher will sign the carrier's name. They will print the carrier's name. Title is owner, usually owner. And then they will put their information here. And usually this information is on, remember, the carrier profile. Remember the carrier profile that you got back from the carrier with the dispatcher agreement? Okay, good. You guys said you got it. Great. So you get some of that information here. And then what you don't have, you just call your carrier and let them know, hey, by the way, you got a fax number? And then, what have you. But the phone numbers usually suffice. Their company address is usually their home address. Most owner operators will just put their address that they're registered with their on their W-9. And then so you return this to the broker along with a copy of, remember those other 3 documents, a copy of the W-9, a copy of the certificate of insurance, and a copy of the MC authority letter. So the broker gets these things back because the broker wants to see with the W-9 that this is a legitimate business company, trucking company, with the MC authority letter that they have that they're authorized to move freight by a governing body, namely the FMCSA and the DOT, Department of Transportation, and the Federal Motor Carriers Safety Administration. And then that they have enough insurance on the certificate of insurance to cover the freight that they're going to be giving them, namely cargo being a minimum of 100,000 and liability being a minimum of 1 million. So they get all this information, they process it into their TMS system, then the broker runs it by their compliance team for approval. Approve me, like, so they'll get back with Kimberly, say, hey, your carrier ABC Charles Trucking has been approved for our brokerage. They are an approved carrier now for us. So just because you're an approved carrier doesn't mean that load is booked yet. The next thing is the rate confirmation. Now here is when the load gets booked. Once you get a rate confirmation from that brokerage, in this case, Kimberly, she's dispatching for me, ABC Trucking. Now the rate confirmation needs to compare to the load. And let's say Kimberly negotiated 2,700. Let's say she put that 10% on top of the 240, which is 2,640. So she got that 2,700. So on the rate confirmation, make sure that the rate is the line haul rate says 2,700, and then all the other details of the load is needed for Kimberly to communicate that to me, the carrier, so I'll know where it's picking up at, the address, the date and times, where it's being delivered to, the address, and the date and times. And of course, the load number, the reference number, piece count, pallet counts, that's fine. The commodity, in other words, what's being hauled, what's on that truck that I'm going to be hauling, that's the commodity. What is the weight and the miles, and the phone number, my phone number and my name, either my trucking company name and my phone number or my personal name and my phone number. So, and then any extra stops, will be here and stuff like that. So once my dispatcher signs that and sends that to the broker, now that load is officially booked. Loads are not officially booked when you do the broker carrier agreement. The purpose of the broker carrier agreement is to get a carrier set up with a brokerage to move loads. The rate confirmation officially books the load because now you have all the information for that load, the rate for it, and then once you sign that and send it back to the broker, that load is officially booked. That's the process. All right. And sometimes on the rate confirmations, you'll see different names. Like you see, typically you're going to see shipper address and receiver address. But this, now another name for the receiver is the consignee. Another name for the shipper is the consignor. It's the same spelling, but instead of 2 E's, it's OR. So CONSIGNOR. That's the other name for a shipper. So make a note of that. And then the other name for consignee is the receiver. So the shipper is where you pick the load up. The receiver or the consignee is where the load gets delivered to. Okay? Any questions?
Yes. It's kind of a summary. So between the carrier and the dispatcher, we need the dispatcher agreement, the carrier profile form, the W-9, the certificate of insurance, the MC authority, and a notice of assignment. That's if they are going through
Factoring.
a factoring. Yes. So then once we contact the broker, then that's when we're gonna need the dispatcher fills out the carrier packet, and then that's when they will send us the rate con.
There you go. You got it.
Okay. And then you said insurance is better if that the carrier had the insurance company send it to the broker.
Right. If like in this example, if the broker, which is BMAC Trucking, most brokers, I would say 80% of the time, they do not ask for a certificate holder for that certificate of insurance. The reason why they do is because their customer, who is the shipper, sometimes they require it. So if they require it, then you would call the agent that's on your carriers. That's why you have a copy of it in your possession for your company, for that carrier who you're representing and dispatching for. You would call the agent that represents that certificate of insurance, let's say Progressive, and you'll say, hey, Jane Doe, I need, you start that conversation about getting that certificate holder, that new certificate of insurance listing BMAC as the certificate holder. And then they'll say, okay, what's the name? BMAC Trucking, the address, wherever they're, here's the company right here. Let's go to BMAC. So you can look them up. So you can go to the company name for the brokerage, look them up. You hit FMCSA or you can hit Safer. It's going to open up another page for Safer for the BMAC company. So you can look them up. That's the beauty of 123 Load Board. You can do a search for the company. They are factorable. So that's a good sign, because if your carrier has a factoring company, the fact that they're factorable, even when you send a notice of assignment in, it's going to reflect that they are factorable. You still send a notice of assignment in. Just because it says they're factorable, you still want to cover your carrier by sending that notice of assignment in. All right. Did I answer your question? I'm sorry.
That just brought up one more question. So if the broker is have a factoring company,
right?
So we do a notice of assignment for both the carrier or the broker if one of them have a go through factoring.
Right. Most brokered loads are factored loads, and part of the reason is brokers want to make extra money by providing that extra quick pay service to the carrier in case they do not have a factoring company. That's why most brokered loads are factored loads. So they may run across a carrier who doesn't have a factoring company. So now the broker says, well, since we're factorable, we can offer quick pay now, and the carrier can help pay for our factoring charges. We're going to charge them 5% to pay them within 24 to 48 hours, which is called quick pay. So brokers have 3 payment options with their factored loads. They have quick pay, which is 24 to 48 hours, but they're going to charge 5% for that. The second option is what's called an ACH transfer. ACH stands for Automated Clearinghouse. It's a wire transfer within 5 to 7 days using either a voided check, or you actually submit a routing number and an account number that the carrier wants the money transferred to. Okay, so that's the second option. And then the third option, which most of them do not use, most carriers don't use, is a paper check mailed to their house within, let's say, 15, net 30, net 45. Now those are days. When I say net 15, I mean 15 days. So what carrier in his right mind is going to wait 15 days for his check when he just delivered a load 2 days ago? He wants to get paid as soon as possible because he has to cover fuel to get to his next load or have other expenses. So he's going to select one of the other 2 options of the brokerage, quick pay or the 5 to 7 day ACH, assuming that he doesn't have a factoring company. So that's the reason why you see most brokered loads factored. So, and a second reason also why most brokered loads are factored is because Brokers deal with shippers. That's who their customers are. And shippers they're not factoring anything. They're going to pay you net, I think net 30, net 45, and net 60. Shippers pays 45 days out, 30 days out, 60 days out. So brokers have to factor those loads from the shippers so they can get paid through the factoring company and then invoice the shippers later and pay the carriers to keep that whole process and that transition going smoothly. So those are the two reasons why brokered loads are factored loads. They want to get paid quickly by the shipper so they can offer payment options to the carrier so they can keep everybody happy. All right? I hope that wasn't too confusing, but you still with me, Kimberly?
Yes, I'm still with you. I got it. I understand.
Okay. All right. All right. We got. Let's see. So I'm gonna pick on you because you're the dispatcher right now. I'm the carrier. So we got the rate confirmation signed, and now the load is officially booked. So now the broker's gonna call me and do what's called a check call. He's gonna actually tell the dispatcher, hey, let me know when your carrier gets to the shipper. And then I'm gonna call them anyway too. The broker's telling the dispatcher, I'm gonna call your carrier too, so we can both be on the same page. Because I want to make sure we're gonna do what's called a check call, where brokers call the carrier to see where they are along the process of moving that load from the time they picked it up to about the midway point in their journey to the time that they get to their destination. Why do they do that? Because their customers require it. While carriers are under a brokered load for a specific shipper, the shipper requires the broker to do check calls on the carrier under that load. Okay, carrier number ABC trucking XYZ, truck number 1, trailer number 2. Okay, he just got to the shipper. He's being loaded. He's going to be loaded in an hour and on his way. Okay, well, after 3 hours, 4 hours, okay, what's the status? Okay, he just got loaded. He's about to leave the shipper and be on the road. Another 3 to 4 hours later, okay, what's his status? Okay, he's on I-10 heading east, blah, blah, blah. His ETA is about 6 hours, stuff like that. They do that because maybe there's an emergency that might happen. The carrier might get a flat tire. He stopped at a truck stop, noticed that the trailer door was open, the food is rotten, whatever, any emergencies or anything that come up, any red flags. Communication is key in the transportation industry between the shipper, broker, and the carrier. And then as far as the dispatcher is concerned, communication is key between the dispatcher, the carrier, and the broker. So as long as you, the dispatcher, is maintaining communication with your carrier while they're under that load and with the broker while your carrier is under that brokered load for that broker, then everything is smoothly. So if your carrier calls you, let's say I call you, Kimberly, and say, hey, I'm having engine trouble with this truck. I got to call that broker immediately, let them know, because there's going to be a delay in delivery of that load. So Kanika asked the question, what is the ideal amount of carriers do you want to start with when you start your business so that they are not just sitting and waiting or by the time you get a load, the carrier is no longer available? Okay, yeah, I understand your question. So a beginner dispatcher, I would say 1 to 3 carriers. You want to start one at a time. You can only book loads for one carrier at a time, like starting out, especially if you have very little experience and know very little about it. Then starting with one carrier and then getting used to the process and the workflow of dispatching for that one carrier. Once you learn the mechanics of booking a load, the conversation you have with the broker and the conversation you have with the carrier and that process in between, then once you get that process, then dispatching other carriers will be not a problem, because the process you'll have, the players are changed, the broker and the carrier, but the process is what you want to understand. From finding a load on the load board to having a conversation and booking the load with the broker and dealing with the carrier. So, but start one at a time, one carrier at a time, get used to booking loads back and forth for them, finding them back haul, coming back to where they picked up a load or going somewhere else. Because let's go back to this example. While I'm under this load, if Kimberly's my dispatcher, and while I'm under this load going from Austell, Georgia to Cascade, Iowa, I'm sure she knows I'm leaving on the 7th. It's going 870 miles. It's going to take me about a day and a half, right? You can go about 650 to 700 miles a day in a tractor trailer driving about 65 miles an hour because your hours of service dictate that you can drive 11 hours straight. 14 hours you could be on duty, but you could drive 11 hours straight. So you can do 11 hours at 65 miles an hour. Some interstates at 70. So let's just say 65. So you want to figure out how many miles you can go. You go 715. So let's say 700. So it's going to take you a day and let's say a day and a half, a day and a quarter. So I leave Wednesday, I get there Friday. So while I'm doing that as a dispatcher, you know your carrier is going to get there by Friday. So what should you be doing? You should be looking for something coming out of Iowa on Friday for a flatbed for a decent rate for your carrier. And that's how you load plan and keep your carrier moving. While they're under a load, you're looking for their next load. And the beauty of this load board is you have a tab right here called backhauls. So you can find backhaul loads coming out of Iowa going to various destinations, either back to Austell, Georgia directly, back to where they came, or to the state of Georgia out of Iowa, Cascade City, Iowa, or out of Iowa, Cascade, Iowa, where they drop to anywhere. There's 95 backhaul loads, or out of the state of Iowa to the state of, so there's so many options with the backhaul tab that you, with this load board, that you shouldn't have a problem finding a load. But that's how you dispatch, while your carrier is under a load, you're looking for their next load. So you're in front of the computer, you're looking for the load, you're calling the broker, booking that load, doing the carrier packet while they're under the load. So by the time I get to Cascade, Iowa, Kimberly should call me and say, I got another load for you within about 57 to 70 mile deadhead that's picking up somewhere close to where you are now and going south, and it's paying $250 a mile. So that's still and it's 32,000 pounds. So it still meets all of my carrier profile requirements, $225 a mile, 40,000 pounds, no more than 40,000 pounds. So I may be willing to take that. So that's how you dispatch, and that's how you keep the carrier running. So you just found 2 loads in a matter, so that's a week run right there. 2 days up, 2 days back. That's about a week right there. So you can essentially keep your carrier running for about 2 weeks out with maybe 4 to 5 loads in a 2-week time frame, and make about, let's say each load paid about $2,500, 4 to 5 loads. So 5 loads, just in this example, times 5. So that's $12,500 gross that the carrier make on that load, and you charge 10% of that for dispatching. So 10% of 12,500 is $1,250 for the week for you as a dispatcher at 10%, grossing for your carrier $12,500. See how that works?
Yes, and can I ask you a question?
Mm-hmm.
So getting the back haul, so we should wait till they already have the current load?
Correct.
Or should we? Okay.
Because you don't want to set up a backhaul. You don't want to set up a backhaul load until you got a load for them going to where you're trying to find that backhaul for. What's the point of having a backhaul for a load that you're not going to be under? Then you're going to book a load that's 800 something miles away, but you didn't get a load going there. So now you got to go 800 something miles to pick that load up for a backhaul. Now it's a regular load now. So you want to get that initial load under your belt and booked. And then once that carrier picks that load up, it's official. He's under that load now. So once you pick a load up from a shipper, he's under the load. Let's say you get to a shipper and the load gets canceled. You're not under that load, but the broker still got to pay you what's called TONU, truck ordered not used, and that's between $250 and $500. So if you book a load and you sign a rate confirmation, and you send it to the broker, and when you sign a rate confirmation, you're under the impression that that load is officially booked. But there are special cases where a broker may call you and say, hey, the shipper canceled that load all of a sudden. Well, you have clauses in your carrier packet, and one of those things is called TONU, truck ordered not used. In other words, the truck was booked, but it wasn't used. So it got, for whatever reason, it got canceled, something happened. The broker will pay you for your, wasted time and effort, at least give you enough to cover fuel. So $250 to $500 for not picking anything up is still better than nothing at all. That's the logic behind TONU. So, any other questions?
Okay, I think that's where when I asked if they already have the load. Now, okay, so as soon as they have the load locked in with the Raycon, then we could book for a back haul, not wait till they actually physically have the load on the truck.
Well, yeah, wait till they actually physically have the load, because again, that special circumstance may happen. You want to be safe than sorry.
Right.
So you signed the rate confirmation and sent it back to the broker, and the broker say, okay, your carrier go pick the load up. Once your carrier is under that load and loaded, your carrier is going to call you and say, hey man, I'm loaded, I'm about to head out. Boom, he's heading out. So okay, I guess it's not canceled at that point. But let's say he gets to the shipper and he docks the truck, and before they start to load him, the broker calls and say the load is canceled. Then that load is not booked, and then you can get what's called a TONU, because you've already signed the rate confirmation and your carrier already went to the facility to get loaded, but never got loaded after the rate confirmation was signed. But if after the rate confirmation was signed and your carrier's at the facility and loaded and pulled off that dock and get ready to run, now you can start working on getting that next load, that backhaul load for the carrier. So, you follow?
I got it. Thank you.
All right. So, are you guys getting this? I want to make sure I'm giving you guys, some good information, basics,
It is great information. It's kind of putting the pieces to the puzzle together.
Okay, I appreciate that. And then, where's my guy at? Laisani, you okay? You getting some good information here with this training?
Man, I just told you in the beginning, my experience with I just paid somebody $200. He was telling his stories, 4 videos. What I'm getting here, it's perfect, man. You're the man.
No.
That's why I'm quiet, I'm just listening.
Yes, sir. So next, let's keep with this theme. We got about 20 minutes now. Let's keep with this theme. With Kimberly dispatching me on this load, we're under the load. We don't have a TONU. We're under the load. I pulled off my truck, right? So Kimberly now, she's dispatching this, so she has to find me a backhaul. So what she'll probably do is ask me the question, okay, well, you're going to be in Iowa. Where are you trying to go? Well, I'm trying to get out of here, Iowa, because I know Iowa. We took this load because I needed the money, but I want to get something out of Iowa going anywhere. So we were under load information. So she's going to click the backhauls tab, and she's going to look at, okay, he's going to be in, she can either do Cascade, Iowa, the exact city I'm in going anywhere, or she can do the state of Iowa going anywhere. So what she might do is choose just the city that I'm in, so I won't have to drive as much deadhead to pick up a load, because I'm going to be in that city going anywhere, as opposed to doing the state of Iowa anywhere, because I might have to drive like, I don't know, 150, 200 mile deadhead to another city in Iowa, like Des Moines or Sioux City or Cedar Rapids or whatever. So if I were her, I would say, okay, I'll take something out of Cascade, Iowa going anywhere. So that's 95 loads like that. So I'm going to right click this and open that one up in another tab. And let's look at loads coming out of Cascade, Iowa going anywhere as an idea for a backhaul for me that Kimberly would be doing as a dispatcher. So there's 95 loads. Look at this, 95 loads. And let's do it. Let's put it in order. Let's click the offer and highest to lowest. And let's edit this too, because I needed something, because this load here I picked up on Wednesday. So we got to keep that in mind too, on Wednesday. So let's say by Friday the 9th, I'm going to be looking something coming out of Cascade, right? So I'm going to go back and edit this and change the pickup date to the 9th, that Friday, right? So you want to be mindful of that too, Kimberly, and all the other dispatchers. You know that he's under this load now on the 7th. So you wouldn't book loads that's either the 6th or the 5th because you can't get to those because he's already under load under the 7th, right? So you want to keep the 9th and beyond 40,000 pounds. So now 95 loads may change to one load. See? And it's not for the I guess it's the 6 has some dots. Let me open this up. 6 through 6 or 7. So now you would have to look for something that's leaving on the 9th. Or let's go back, and here's another option. Let me remove this and redo it to get back to 95, put it back in order, and then choose a good load that's going somewhere and ask, and then we will call the broker and say, I'm looking at this load, even though you have one picking up on the 7th going somewhere or whatever. You'll say, will you have a load coming out of that area on Friday? I'm gonna have a carrier in the Iowa area on Friday. That'd be an option too. Maybe you didn't find a specific load leaving on the 9th, or maybe you found something on the 8th. Maybe I got there on the 8th and got offloaded on time. Let's scroll down here. But if I did not, you could ask the broker, I'm gonna have a carrier there on Friday. Will you have another load? I know this load is posted for this date, but will you have a load coming out of there on Friday? And you may look up and get a load coming out of there on Friday. Otherwise you'll have to look elsewhere, right? So this one here is Madison, Wisconsin, which is 98 miles, 100 miles north of where you're going to be, because Iowa and Wisconsin is north of Iowa, but not too far north. Going down to Florida, Havana, Florida. Now you got to be careful with Florida, because with Florida, we've learned as dispatchers, it's like the Roach Motel. It's easy to get in, but it's hard to get out of, right? So, and that's another thing you keep in mind as dispatchers. You want to be careful of where you send your carriers to. So going over here to Eagle Pass, Texas, you can get a load out of Texas, but you got to travel 136 deadhead miles. Let's see if it's going in the direction of, you got to go, let's see, Iowa, you got to go over to Illinois, which is east, and then down to Texas. You might consider that. But that's the strategies that you would do as load planners. You plan a load. And this one is 5 cents less than your $2.25 a mile. So that's another thing to consider. But the beauty of it is a no tarp. So if you tarped your loads, you know how strenuous that is. Those tarps are heavy. But if you don't have to tarp a load, you can just strap and go like the last load, then you'll be willing to take that 5 cents loss just to get out of Iowa and get closer to a state that has freight that you can get loads for. So these are some of the factors as a driver and as a dispatcher that you would consider for your carrier. All right. Any final questions?
So I have a question. I know all the money is in, the flatbeds and everything, but I had some people that have the 26-foot trucks, the flatbeds, and some people are kind of getting into like the Sprinter vans also. So like, what would we look for, like to actually look for those loads for them also? Like if we want to keep their business and trying to, keep everything that they have running, like what would we look for?
So for the 26-foot box truck, the Sprinter vans and cargo vans, there are specialized load boards that you might want to consider getting a subscription to consider keeping those running. I'm going to give you 2 of them. One of them is rather expensive, but the other one is not. And the other one that's not expensive, it's a load board that you have to bid on. It's called My Virtual Fleet. Where are you located?
In Florida.
Okay. So straight truck carriers, My Virtual Fleet, that is load boards for the box trucks. It's called My Virtual Fleet, box trucks, sprinter vans, and cargo vans. I'm gonna copy that and put it in the chat for you.
Okay.
And you get an account with them. And then the second one is called Selectus. It's by a company bought them out. It's called Omnitrax, but they still have the Selectus. It's rather expensive though, but if you are at a point where you can afford it, then I would say go for it. This is the TMS version of it. Let me give you the low board version of it.
Okay.
Select this low board. Okay.
Sure.
All right. So right here, Omnitrax, select this, log into. There we go. So that is and it's a corporate, you can have a corporate ID because with Selectus, they require you to have at least 5 assets under your company or trucks under your company. And they charge like $5,000 to get into it and then $350 a month. It depends on the type of logins that you get with them. But they are the #1 low board for those equipment types. The straight trucks, 26-foot box trucks, cargo vans, and sprinter vans, or what's called LTL, freight or partials. LTL means less than truckload. So for those types of loads, partials and LTLs, they are the #1 load board, but you are going to pay for that. But once you do, your money, you'll get your money back because you're going to have so many loads on there. You may have to scale your business and get more trucks, but those are the 2 resources for that. Hopefully that helps.
Yes, thank you.
And then also with these load boards, you can simply filter out. Let's say Atlanta, Georgia. I'm picking on Atlanta. I was supposed to have been down there about a month ago, but anyway, Atlanta, Georgia, going anywhere for let's say a specialized or a van or a box truck. Let's say a van, but let's say instead of a regular, let's say 26-foot van, and let's say box trucks can hold about 10,000 pounds in the trailer part of it. So we're gonna say 9,500 or 90. Let's say 9,700. Kind of meet it halfway, right? And see what we come up with. So we got 24 loads for that type of truck, right? 26-foot box truck. So this one, let me put it in order. So you can work and tweak the load boards to fit the category of the equipment type. You understand what I mean?
Oh, okay, yeah.
So I just selected a van category because a box truck looks like a dry van, and I just shrunk the length of it from a 53-foot to 26-foot. So I found this load that's going, look, $2.57 a mile is very good for a box truck because it's a van, but it's 8,045 pounds. It's a truckload. So you call that broker and say, hey, I got a 26-foot box truck. You think that can go into there? Now it may be that it goes into a tractor trailer. It may be 26 pallets that weigh a total of 8,045 pounds. So you got to make sure that you ask. So let's say,
okay.
right. So let's do this. Let's edit this. And instead of saying any size, let's say LTL, less than truckload, because you got TL, truckloads, and then less than truckloads, and see what we come up with. So we got 6 of them now, right? So now this may be in a category of box trucks. Now these rates that are not showing, you can negotiate them. This is kind of ridiculous for that rate. $600 going. If you're going more miles than what it's paying, that's obviously that's not a load to take, right? And the same here. If you're driving close to the number of miles, so that's like around $1 a mile right there. Right? Yeah, see, $1 even for a box truck. That's not good.
Oh, yeah.
Even though it's 9,000 pounds and it's only 11 feet long, 26 feet. So you got, what, 15 feet to play with.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not paying. You're going 1,000,
right.
almost 1,100 miles for $1,100, $1 a mile.
Yeah, that's not good.
Yeah, and it's not in the flat. It's in the flat needs tarp, van needs choke. So it's going, even though it's an LTL, they wanted still to go in a 53-foot trailer. So that's not even a box truck category. So depends on how you filter the search criteria. So let's look at more options, specialize. See, under more options, you can actually check this to show all the rates that are showing, show all the loads that shows the rates for the paid rates. So let's hide this. Let's go into the specific specs. So if we say none, so we want to look at air rides, we want to look at E-Tracks, which is box trucks. I want to say hot shots, liftgate, there it is, liftgate. And we do that and we'll see what we come up with. So now we get some of the same ones. But that's how you would do that on the load boards to search for.
Okay.
So if you didn't want to pay for Select This, or if you didn't want to deal with My Virtual Fleet having to bid on the loads because you're a new dispatcher and you don't know how to bid properly yet, you can use the load boards that are on this platform and just filter out the search criteria to meet the category of your equipment type.
Okay.
Right? So, all right. All right, guys. Think we got 3 minutes. What do you guys think? Everything's good? Any final thoughts, questions?
Yeah, I have a question about the PDFs, the PDFs you send us.
Okay.
Can we use those and put my logo on? So I don't have to search around, you know, you can send everything in there, so.
Yeah, what I sent you, you can have. Those are yours. You can tweak them and put them in a PDF reader and edit them and change them to your own, or those are yours.
Thank you, man.
Yeah, those are yours. You know, just do not use my company information, my company name verbatim. They're supposed to be used as templates for your own company to kind of tweak for your own business. So you understand what I'm saying, right? Don't use my intellectual property on your company's stuff. That's all I'm saying. You just change it. You just change it to reflect your company. All
Yeah,
right?
kind of added them a little bit, you know, the most important stuff.
Correct. So yeah, you get it. You understand. So, all right. I think like everybody tuned in. I don't think. Well, I didn't get Theory. This person didn't tune in, but I got everybody else. Somebody just asked the question. Let me see. See the chat real quick. How do we get a broker to run for, or do we not need one? You mean regularly or starting off? You have to get a carrier first under a dispatcher agreement. Getting the broker shouldn't be the problem. Starting once you get your carrier, finding the broker based off of the loads shouldn't be the problem. Now, if you have a carrier under a dispatcher agreement whose active authority is like 6 months or less active, there are brokers that will still work with those carriers whose authorities are that young, right? But it's getting the carrier first, and then dealing with the brokers will come later. So, all right?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, and then for those of you, now this was a seminar for you guys to introduce it to you, but if you wanted to enroll in my training platform, what you paid for this seminar would just roll into the price of the platform. That's totally your decision. I'm just putting that out there. So, and just let me know. So you can let me know either through the email or a phone call or have you. Matter of fact, I need to put that in here. How to get.
And what all is included in that?
Say again.
What all is included with the, is it just the access to the back office?
Yeah, we have live
training.
Yeah, we have live trainings twice a week. You have access to the back office. You have access to all the load boards, all the forms and documents. I'm not opening up the tools and resources because there's some stuff in there that I can't have on the recording. And then the load boards access on module 2. But yeah. So having access to the 5 load boards in and of itself is very valuable. But especially if you don't have a carrier yet and you're having a hard time finding a carrier, to be able to get a load board for yourself, you have to have an MC authority in order to sign up for an account for a load board. So if you don't have a carrier under a dispatch agreement, whose MC authority are you going to use to access a load board, right? So little things like that to kind of help get around some of the hiccups that beginner dispatchers start off with. I try to solve those problems on this platform to keep your transition into the industry a little bit smoother and on a basic foundational level. That's the whole point of my platform. I'm just a resource for you guys. And then once you get your business off the ground and rolling, you pretty much, you'll take off and go. So I'm here to give you the basic foundational stuff from the beginning to learn it. And then as you book loads over time, you say, okay, I now see what Charles was talking about. Now I see what Charles was talking about here, or now I see what Charles was talking about there. So, all right.
I have Charles.
Yeah.
I got a question about that $19.99 a month.
Right. So when this is my ongoing platform is a subscription-based membership platform. So if you enroll in the platform, you pay the one-time enrollment fee. And in this case, let's say you, Lesani, wanted to join. The $50 you paid would be rolled into the $299 for the platform. In either case, whether you roll that $50 in or you pay the $299 if you didn't attend this seminar tonight, 1 month after your initial enrollment date, then the $19.99 monthly subscription kicks in. So that's how that works.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. I forgot to put my information here. I'm sorry. Let me do that now.
What is the subscription for or to?
The subscription is to maintain access to the tools and resources in the back office, access to the load boards. I'm paying for those load boards. Like one load board is, how much is it? 120 something a month, 125, internet truck stop. 123 is 54 a month. That is 34 a month. And then as I add to and take away from the platform, I keep this back office updated with changes in the transportation industry as well to keep the dispatchers in tune with what's going on out there. Because I know a lot of dispatchers probably don't keep in tune with what's going on with like freight rates and price changes and with the culture of the transportation industry and what's going on, what regions and zones of the country that you can get good loads from and freight. You're going to learn that in time, but starting out, you may not know that. And it's just a lot of resources and added value. So that's all encompassed in that $19.99 subscription.
Okay.
All right. So my phone number, email's there. And this is a choice. You do not have to go with me. I'm just, the purpose of this seminar was just to give you an introduction of what dispatching can be from a beginner's standpoint. And you are very much welcome to go with another platform or another training. That's fine. At least you have some starting materials to go on and some training to help leverage what you're going to learn when you go with someone else. You know, this is just an option for you. This is not the end all be all.
Now with the training, I know it's 2 times a week. How long is the training for the 2 times a week?
It's 2 hours, 2 hours every time. It's the same as like this. I usually try to keep it 2 hours. I don't want to hold people too long. And, you know, it's like Wednesday evenings, 6 to 8, and Sunday mornings, 11 a.m. to 1 to about 1. Now, sometimes we go over, like I've had one to like 2 hours and 40 minutes, almost 3 hours, because we were so deep into what we were doing that the time was kind of irrelevant. And then I just happened to look at the clock. I'm like, oh my goodness, we are over, you know, so, but I'll just say minimum 2 hours. Let's just say it like that. So, you know, and I try to keep, you know, I don't want to keep you guys too long, you know, so Kanika said, how much more complex is it complex is it to be a freight broker? It's more of the easiest entry point into this transportation industry is probably through being an independent freight dispatcher. The broker is required to have more under their belt before they become a broker. You need a bond, either a surety bond or a trust fund, which is a BMC 84 or a BMC 85. You need an authority. Dispatchers do not need an authority. Brokers need a broker of property authority or a broker of household goods authority. You need a BOC3, which is a process agent. So in case someone files a claim against you or a lawsuit, you have a process agent to handle all the legal side of it. You need possibly contingent cargo insurance as a broker. You need regular insurance and you need contingent cargo to have extra insurance to show skin in the game to your customer, who is the shippers, so they can give you those loads. If a shipper sees that a broker has contingent cargo on top of what the carrier has insurance, then the shipper says, okay, the broker wants to make sure that my freight is covered. I'm going to give him my loads or her my loads. So you need that. You need a TMS system and understanding of how to use the TMS system. The TMS system is a transportation management software. It is the integration between the shipper and the broker. They use what's called an EDI integration, electronic data interchange. So when a shipper and a broker has an EDI connection through the TMS system, now this is all in freight broker training. I don't know why I'm going into this much detail, but when a shipper and a broker has an EDI integration connection through their TMS software, when the shipper sends a load tender electronically or the details of a load to the broker, it goes through the system into the broker's TMS system, and most of the fields are automatically populated. All the broker will have to do is go and log into that TMS system, see that load tender, and change the numbers and change a few fields in there, and then produce what's called the rate confirmation. Remember the rate confirmation we were talking about when we booked the load with the broker? That's how they do it. They get a load tender from the shipper, either electronically sent through EDI integration or manually sent. If it's manually sent, then the broker has to manually enter those fields into their TMS system. If it's electronically sent, most of those fields are automatically populated and they just got to fill in the rest of the stuff. But in either case, they take the load tender from the shipper and produce a rate confirmation through the TMS system, transportation management software. So, and then you have to have credit. As a new broker, you have to establish yourself with credit in order to build what's called a book of business when you go after the shippers to try to win the bids for those loads from the shipper. So that's a challenge. That's the major challenge with a broker, is getting the shippers. The major challenge with the dispatchers is getting the carriers. But it's a bigger challenge for the broker to get shippers than it is for dispatchers to get carriers. So I hope that wasn't too much information. All right, was that good?
Thank
Perfect.
you. Class was great.
Yes.
All right. I hope I answered everyone's questions. I put my email and cell phone information. I'm after 9. I'm usually not available after 9. Like from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. My phone is with me, but I usually go to bed at 9. So I'll probably email would be better if after 9. If you decide if you want to get on this training, and if not, that's fine. I just wanted to extend that offer. But I thank you guys for at least tuning in for this seminar. Hopefully, if you have anyone who is in the same field where you guys are, or interest that want to be independent freight dispatcher, you can let them know that they can attend the seminar and get, all those documents. I think you guys got 3 eBooks and a glossary, some of the basic stuff. So I can't remember what. I just go to the folder, but my, the admin people put the stuff together. So, yeah. But
you said you put your contact information in chat. I'm not seeing it.
Oh, I'm sorry. I did it to. When does the next ongoing training? Oh, it's private. I'm sorry. I guess I'm talking to Kanika privately. It says, when does the next ongoing training start? For the students, the next training is Wednesday. Wednesday night at 6. So there, let me change this to everyone. I must have hit the wrong thing. I apologize. Let me do that now. Copy and paste. All right, is it there now?
Yes, and you're from Virginia. I'm originally from Virginia. I see your 757 number.
Uh-oh, uh-oh. All right, now, don't start nothing you can't finish. What part of Virginia?
Newport News.
Oh, Lord, you from bad news. Get off of here.
Yes, 757.
Bad news. I knew there was something. This Kimberly?
Yes, it is.
Oh, Lord. Oh, my goodness. I got to block my number now. That's crazy.
No, don't do that. Don't do that.
No, but it's cool. Newport News is it's cool. The shipyards and all this
What
stuff.
part are you from?
I'm in Western Branch area, Chesapeake, North Suffolk.
Oh, I have family out there in Chesapeake, so
Yeah,
I'm
like
familiar with that
Harvard.
area.
Yeah. Yep. All right, everybody.
Thank you so much. That's very informative. Thank you so much.
All right, you guys are
Thank you.
welcome. You're welcome. You guys have a good rest of your
Thank you.
week. You're welcome.
Thank you, Charles.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Tell your friends.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome.